Well, today we have Matt Bell, who is well known as the Starman, and for good reason. And he's got some other projects on which we will describe. But welcome, Matt.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's lovely to see you again in chat.
It's been a long time coming, I have to say. So
yeah, I think I last saw you at the autumn equinox thing, or maybe a bit before that. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, probably. I think we sort of bump into each other every now and then, but yeah, probably can't remember.
Yeah.
I haven't been out that much this year. I really need to get back into the events, but I really want to hook up with you with the stargazing stuff, or light craft gazing stuff as well. And because that was the first time I really sort of saw your work. You know, I've obviously met you at the summer party 2021, saw you at various things like the Adrian's thing, and elsewhere, but the biggest one was on the cricket pitch in the pitch black.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was so good. I mean, you as well, what was really nice about that was that you know, I've been speaking about this and people have been having those experiences, but I didn't have any photographic proof. And then you sort of came along and took those photographs. And what was so nice about that was you had, I don't know what kind of levels you had your photography at, but you managed to capture the stars that were still, and then the ones that were moving, star craft, star family, that came over us and visited. So yeah, it's brilliant.
I need to look into that a bit better, because my equipment, it was just a normal sort of wide angle lens, which is pretty good for telephoto, like for the star stuff, because you can go down to quite a low ISO, which lets in a lot of light. So 2.8 f2.8. But I need to look into that, because I think there are other lenses out there that you can really do a good job with. Yeah, I reckon video's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, it'd be quite nice to do night vision video sort of stuff, because
that's what I'm thinking actually, because I heard a story actually. Sigma, one of the sort of big brands of lenses, came out with a lens once that I think it did UV or something. It was quite a special lens, and it got banned.
Yeah,
because it could see crafts.
That
were hidden.
They don't want you seeing those.
Do you know about that?
Yeah. I mean, there's also another lens that you can get. It's like a form of acrylic, and basically that allows you to see craft as well that are cloaked in invisibility. So yeah,
we need to team up. I think we need to team up, and we need to team up and do that. I think, because I think it'd just be fascinating. I've always loved the idea of sort of UAPs and all that, and quite cool. But in Lyndhurst, I've mentioned this quite a few times actually. I like tangible stuff that's kind of you can see, and there's a lot. I'll go over it in a minute. Actually, there's a lot of images of human brains are often not very accurate online or whatever, or people get carried away with stories because we're a emotional species. But when you're actually there, when I'm there myself, going, oh, that's cool. It's not even dark yet. We couldn't even see Saturn, because at the time it was still light.
Right, and they already came over and knew what we were up to.
This thing was like flying over. I'm like, okay, I might take this a bit more seriously now.
That's what's so nice about it, because most of the kind of ufology groups and stuff, you're listening to people who have experienced, or you're listening to researchers and stuff, but you're not actually experiencing it for yourself. And with the Star Teachings protocol, the connection protocol, it's literally 5 steps, and you can go out in your back garden and any clear night and connect one-to-one with extraterrestrials and star family, benevolent ones, and start having a conversation or a connection that builds up over time. And it's lovely, because it's very profound, because there's 3 things at least that when you see a star moving or waving back at you, or bobbing up and down with joy, you that blows out all your programming to say, this aliens, extraterrestrials don't exist, because you're literally seeing what you think is a star, a planet miles away, and it suddenly starts waving at you and interacting with you, because you're actually talking to it and looking at it and saying hello. And that's so profound, because one, that you're not alone. 2, that they're rooting for us as well. and 3, that you know that they're not coming here to kind of destroy the planet, not the benevolent ones. So, you know, there's so much in that, just in that experience of kind of connecting with them, that you know, you hear people going, oh my goodness, and their sort of jaws are dropping, and they can't believe what they're seeing, sort of thing, because they've been taught a sort of false history. So it's really exciting, and people get really excited when they kind of realize that there's more out there than they'd ever even kind of dreamed of.
And what are they generally? Because there's lots of different types of crafts, isn't there? I mean, the best thing I saw was like a Merkabah. I went up to you like, what the hell's that? It's like this spinning thing, about the size of a helicopter, probably about a few miles away.
They're very playful, those ones. They're kind of twinkly lights. They're like they flash red and white and green and stuff. Yeah. And they're very sort of playful and young, kind of spirited, and very kind of joyous. And those are etheric beings, basically, without necessarily having a physical body, but more having a light body. And their energy fields are spinning around them, and that's what you're seeing. So you're seeing the divine masculine with the divine feminine, which is the down triangle with the up triangle.
Right.
And so, you know, it's been documented by a few religions before, like the Hebrew religion and stuff like that. But those are sort of beings, ascended beings with their own biofield as their craft, effectively.
Yeah.
So there's those ones, which are the twinkly ones, and then you've got.
Would that be like the Galactic Council could do that kind of thing, like Lord Megatron or Metatron, that kind of thing? Is that level of consciousness?
No, that's higher than that. It's basically they're all ascended beings. Yeah. So so they're in their higher self light body, and basically they're kind of, by their light frequencies and vibration, they kind of help us to unlock our own higher self frequencies. And so there's those ones, and then you've got drones, which are like smaller observation craft. So they're being operated by star family from, you know, planets millions and millions of light years away, or even, you know, say from Mars, or from different ships, larger ships further out in orbit. And then you've got the actual craft themselves, which has got beings in them, so there's 3 kind of main types. There's the craft, there's the drone, and then there's the Merkabah. So those are them. And obviously the craft come in all sorts of shapes and sizes as well. So
these craft, I mean, I've sort of seen some images like on YouTube and stuff. I mean, they look like something out of Star Wars, really, and they don't even look aerodynamic. You'd expect something like, you know, Flight of the Navigator, but it's actually like kind of like a boat.
Yeah, literally. They don't need to be aerodynamic, because within their containment field is the whole different type of physics that doesn't rely on going through the air and making friction.
Point, is it? It's much easier to build a square ship, isn't it, than like something else?
Yeah. So these craft, they have a toroidal plasma field, generated by the craft's engine, and those look like a ball, and then that interacts with the atmosphere and creates illuminated corona. So from a distance, that will look like a point of light, like a star.
Yeah.
And that's why, and those are all, those stars that we're seeing in the sky, those are all parked in orbit in a sort of constellation arrangement. So you think that they're the actual constellations, but the actual constellations are behind them, representing, and they're just representing them.
What is a TR3B, and how's that come across, and what other crafts are there? Because that was like a spinning Mercury thing from the Nazis, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was developed from crash retrieved craft.
Right.
I think it's Lockheed Martin and Skunk Works built them, and Boeing as well. But so they're all doing these black projects, which are for the deep state and for the military.
Yeah.
And they've known about extraterrestrials since way back, since, you know, before the medieval times. They've been here since dot, and they've influenced our cultures ever since.
There's stories like, I think it's from China, where there were 2 crafts that had a fight, and they called them like kind of fire dragons or something like that.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
and the Mexicans talk about the fire serpents as well. They talk about, and that's a sort of metaphor for their engines, you know, and the light emitting from the craft. So we've had a very checkered history. I mean, there's a lot of artifacts coming out of Mexico, Peru, South America now, showing how the Greys basically took over for a while in that region, and they started doing sacrifices on top of those pyramids and stuff like that. And so you're getting lots of stone artifacts with carvings of kind of praying kind of Aztecs kind of to these kind of big-headed grey beings and things like that. So it's fascinating. But the pyramids around the world, they all came from the same knowledge.
Yeah.
Effectively, they are, I don't know if you know about a Van de Graaff generator. It's like a silver ball you see in science labs, and then there's a smaller silver ball next to it, and then they create a charge, and that charge comes off the ball and sparks between the two. If you can scale that up to planet size, if you can put like a little point or an antenna that captures the ether and generates scalar wave frequencies and energy, and that's what all the pyramids around the world were built for, because we had a planet that had free energy, where you could have devices that could just tap into that free energy in the etheric field, effectively in our atmosphere. There was no lag, and even in some of the pyramids, there were actually teleportation devices, so you could effectively change your frequency and physically travel to another portal.
Like Stargate.
But now most of those are offline, so you can only do it astrally. So yeah,
I've always had an intuition, actually. That's why they invaded Iraq. Is that? I've never looked into it. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh right, that's interesting. Always said that, even since I was a child. That's what they want. There's some secret tech somewhere, ancient.
Yeah, and they raided the library as well there, for all those ancient tablets.
Right, that's interesting.
Because that's a store of information from the past. They were there to kind of discover things like Gilgamesh and the city of Uruk and stuff like that. The big ziggurats there that stored loads of artifacts. Chap called oh gosh, what's his name? He did a Karl Monk, that was his name, and he was an American code breaker.
Okay.
And he cracked the code of the monoliths. Basically, where they're located is their location in time and space as well.
Oh,
and
right.
That's encoded into the monuments. So, for example, the amount of kind of layers or steps, its actual geolocation in time and space.
Yeah.
Well, so it's fascinating. If you ever get the chance to see that, it's called The Code, and he was a code breaker, and he broke down the mathematics of it. I think it's from the 1950s, but yeah, that's a good one. If you can,
it is all about maths, isn't it? If you can, because the Egyptologists, they still think it was made with like a wooden thing and a copper. Really? No. But when you look at it in terms of mathematics, it all adds up, doesn't it? Everything links, doesn't it? Even like Easter Island and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you take, say, the lines from the Nazca, and you plot them across the Earth, if you reach the other side where they intersect, is Angkor Wat. Exactly.
You've got a Telegram group, haven't you?
Star Teachings.
Just want to share screen, because I thought this was quite funny. I'm not on Telegram much, and I think I don't know if anyone can see that. I've never done it. This is quite interesting. There's someone commented on it. This goes back to the imagination of a human, and that does look like a spaceship, doesn't it? But it does. It was funny because someone's like, my friend's just taken this. What the hell is it? Kind of thing. You're like, it's difficult to assess what I'm looking for as a reflection from the room's ceiling interior showing over the sky. I thought it was quite funny. That's
quite common, that actually.
It is, yeah. And that looked, I was like, wow, what's that? That's cool, man.
But it's a nice picture as well, nice sunset.
Yeah, that was a lovely picture actually.
But I was looking at the streaks and I was thinking, hang on, that's that kind of ceiling lighting.
But it looks like a kind of in Star Trek, the little things, they kind of, whatever they're called, the little ones. I've got one question for you. Someone sent me a picture of Lemuria and Atlantis the other day, a couple of days ago. and it didn't look right. Can you see that?
Okay.
Is that right? The Mediterranean looks too big to me.
Well,
and this should clearly all be land, shouldn't it?
It's a bit confusing because Atlantis wasn't one colony and it wasn't in one location. So, for example, Machu Picchu was an Atlantean colony.
Yeah.
And so was Easter Island and stuff like that. So, so Atlantis, you know, there's the what's it called, the Rishi Circle in Africa. They're proposing that's where Plato or where he got his information from a previous writer about Atlantis, and there's quite good evidence to show that there was flood damage there. But Atlantis was kind of in the Atlantic to the left of Ireland, really. But it was also to the south in the Azores, and it wasn't in one particular location. And Lemuria similarly as well. I mean, where they've mapped put Lemuria, that's Zealand. That's where Zealand used to be, and that's sunk. And you've got New Zealand left. What's left of it, and it's the same scenario with Easter Island as well. Easter Island's only the pokey bit left after the rest of it sunk.
And
I've
looked at loads of different maps. They've all got different ideas of what they think it was. But one thing I like looking at is I don't know if you can see that. Google Earth.
Oh yeah.
And you can kind of see actually, like here, for example. I don't know where that is, but it's can you see that?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because you can see like this was all the shallow areas. I mean, I've lived in Bimini, which is where the Bimini
Road lovely is. Near the Bimini Wall.
Yeah. And there's a huge, great big road. I don't know where Bimini is on here actually, but it's around there somewhere. And all of that would have been surely land, you know.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I mean,
and then you got
the reason why these lands sunk. We do have tectonic activity, but also about 13,000 years ago, the planet Tiamat, which was a water planet between Saturn and Jupiter, was destroyed in a war, and so all that water slewed off and came to Earth, and that's when we had one of the flood incidents, and that's when sea levels raised as well.
So that came through space somehow.
Yeah, because space is a very high frequency water in itself. And that's why you've got I think it's the Bible quote, you know, separating the waters below from the waters above.
Yeah.
And we've got that electromagnetic containment field that separates the two. That's why you've got rockets bouncing off the inside of it, because they're going at fast speed, and they're a bit like a diver off a high board. If you do a belly flop, the water's going to be like concrete.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening with the rockets at the moment.
What's happening with rockets?
They're bouncing off what they call the firmament, but it's actually the electromagnetic containment field, which is invisible. It's like a hydrospheric containment field. That's why we get all the charged particles of the aurora borealis and stuff like that showing up at the pole, because that shows the flux lines of the electromagnetic containment field that we're in. Like a craft has its own containment field, the Earth does as well.
I've read Graham Hancock's thing, Fingerprints of Gods, and the first chapter it talks about 1535. I think there's a map of Antarctica. Was it?
The Piri Reese map. Yeah.
In 1535, it's perfectly mapped and everything. So what was that then? Because it's crust displacement potentially.
He was a Portuguese explorer, and he mapped the Antarctic basically before it was discovered in the New World.
Cool.
And they also add a bit of snow on the Google Maps and stuff.
They do, don't they? Yeah, they hide all the bases.
Yeah,
there's tons of it on there. I could actually show you.
Well, there's loads coming out about Antarctica. There's the entrance to the Hollow Earth.
Is a Hollow Earth thing then?
Yeah, it's a real thing. There's a 100-meter ring wall.
Can you see that?
The entrance. Yeah,
that whole area.
Blanked out.
It's just blanked out. Yeah, and there's that's where the Nazis apparently went.
That's right. Yeah, and then they went
Paperclip, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they went on to Aldebaran as well. So New Schwabenland was where they established after the Second World War. Hitler went down there. He went to Argentina and Paraguay. He settled in Paraguay, I think, or
I'll get
Uruguay.
rid of that.
Yeah,
Paraguay, was it? Okay.
and then that's where there's a website called sharkhunters.net, and those were all the submariners in the Second World War, and they got to find out where, you know, they'd meet up with German U-boats in sort of strange kind of archipelagos, and a bit like that football scene at Christmas. They'd just shake hands and kind of like go, "Hey ho, we're supposed to kill each other, but hey." So that's how they found out that Hitler wasn't didn't kill himself.
Oh, definitely. No, there's no way
he managed to
anyone
escape.
like that would have done that. Yeah. So he went through Spain and Morocco, apparently, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
With
right. And they got a large U-boat specially fitted out to take.
Michael Berman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because he was found in. I know we're going off a bit topic here, but he was found in Berlin, was he, in 1970s, with a load of Chilean mud all over him.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've heard.
Exported to Antarctica.
Yeah.
And then sort of sold back to America, and then they changed the names and stuff in Operation Paperclip. So
yeah. Okay, cool. Paperclip was when the guy went down, the massive, great big armada went down to Atlantis.
Oh, Admiral Byrd,
not Atlantis, to Antarctica, and then they got absolutely screwed, didn't they? Because of all they had their own UFO crafts or something.
Yeah, they're called Haunebu. The craft were called Haunebu, and they'd developed them by then, and they basically just trounced the fleet, I think it was.
It's all in official FBI or whatever, CIA stuff, isn't it? So basically, they've got craft that could go from pole to pole within 10 minutes. You know.
Oh, shorter than that. A few seconds. Yeah. And that's why you've got things like similar pyramids being built in places like Indonesia, as Mexico and stuff. So because they've got a similar kind of architectural design.
Yeah.
Because they're functional, free energy generating. That's why you've got craft at that time. Star Family could nip across to another continent, and then create another little cult there. And that's why you've got similar kind of pyramids dotted around in different continents.